Exposed. My son's shocking response to my husband's incredible gifts revealed a hidden truth. Claire's heart raced as she stood in the kitchen, the aroma of fried chicken mingling with a hint of anxiety. The family table was adorned with an array of lavish gifts, an explosion of wrapping paper reflecting Tom's aspirations of a blended family. She had always prided herself on providing for Josh and her father with unwavering devotion, but here, in stark contrast, Tom's generous tokens felt like a looming shadow, threatening her fabric of modesty. She was about to embrace a new future. Would it come at a cost? Watching Tom fumble through his words, recounting visions of family and unity, Claire felt an unexpected swell of pride. Yet that pride was met with an icy silence from Josh, who sat at the other end of the table, arms crossed, lips pressed into a thin line. The contrast was jarring. She longed for Josh to smile, to be a part of these moments, but all he could muster was a glare, one that pierced through her excitement like a jagged glass. What was happening to the intense bond they shared? Was her sole focus on survival leading to this emotional disconnect? Claire wrestled with the realization that in her relentless pursuit of stability, she might have overlooked Josh's growing unease. She had built walls around her heart, reveling in hard work but ultimately isolating the very people she cared about most. As she attempted to balance everything, she feared that her ambition for happiness were sending Josh's self-worth plummeting. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The weight of Tom's gifts began to suffocate her. They weren't just tokens. To Josh, they symbolized Tom's intrusion into the world they had made together, a world built on remnants of struggle, characterized by thriftiness and shared sacrifices. Josh's reluctance had become Claire's greatest fear. Friends would tell her how supportive Tom was, but she felt his presence in her life tightening the grip on her bond with her son. As her chest tightened, Claire felt her focus sharpening. They needed to confront this rift. Standing amidst the discarded gift wrap, Claire contemplated the very fabric that defined them. They were more than a series of possessions. They were love, laughter, resilience. A fracturing silence surrounded them, escalating the tension in the room. All she could hear was an echo of Tom's voice paired with Josh's strained silence, leaving her to question where her loyalties lay. Did she need Tom's promise of security more than she needed the sanctity of her family? Just as she thought there might be hope for reconciliation, a glimmer, where they could confront their fears together, she stumbled upon a weathered box of letters in the attic later that night. Secrets lay nestled inside, hints of a hidden family history she had long neglected. Could this knowledge bridge the widening chasm between her and Josh? The weight of the unknown consumed her, leaving Claire to wonder if shedding light on the past would ultimately force them further apart. With her heart racing, Claire looked at Josh and whispered a quiet plea. They needed to confront the truth together. But doubt clawed at her. Could they truly unearth the values they clung to, or would it expose fractures that could never heal? Claire stared at the box in her hands, the letters inside seemingly buzzing with unvoiced stories. The attic was dimly lit, filled with dust motes dancing in the narrow beams of light, creating a cocoon of historical echoes. She knew she had to face what lay within both the box and her own heart, especially as Josh's dissatisfaction lingered like a storm cloud overhead. As she slipped her fingers across the fragile paper, a recurring theme nagged at her. Was this family still worth saving? The answer felt elusive, tucked away under layers of unacknowledged emotions and buried dreams. Each letter she unfolded whispered secrets she had buried too deeply to recall. They spoke of her parents' struggles, their hopes, and the sacrifices they made to build a life she now felt she might shatter. Sitting on the cold attic floor, she read about the dreams her parents had carried, a life far removed from the designer shoes and lavish gifts that Tom offered. What had become of those values? The ones steeped in tight budgets, homemade birthday cakes, and early mornings spent together harvesting love from their meager resources? With each revelation, Claire's chest tightened further. Had she lost sight of what truly mattered while chasing the illusion of security? In the stillness of the attic, the weight of her realization sunk like lead. It suddenly dawned on her. It wasn't only about the gifts Tom brought, but about the gifts of connection and understanding she and Josh shared. The same gifts of resilience and love that had seen them through countless storms. She had sought to elevate their lives materially, yet risked stripping the richness of their emotional landscape. The idea that she had become a stranger in her own home stung. She realized this was not just about her relationship with Tom. It was about reclaiming her bond with Josh. For the sake of that bond, she would face the uncomfortable truths of her past and learn from the fabric of her family history. Gazing at the tattered letters, Claire felt a surge of determination. Maybe understanding her past could help reconstruct the present. Would Josh find solace in hearing stories of perseverance rather than feeling excluded by Tom's financial gestures? A plan began to take shape in her mind, a family gathering featuring these heartfelt anecdotes that could bridge the rift. A way to incorporate Tom's generosity, while honoring the legacy of simplicity and love she'd inherited. Descending from the attic, her heart pulsed with renewed purpose. There was work to be done. First, she would have to speak to Tom, draw him into this journey of discovery. She needed him to understand her fears and insecurities that tied back to her childhood. More importantly, she had to ensure he was respectful of the fragile emotional ground upon which she and Josh stood. Eager to initiate this conversation, Claire found herself finding the right words. She could initiate a dialogue that encompassed both Tom's intentions and her need for familial solidarity. As she prepared to confront her fears, a deep breath buckled her resolve. The time had come to face the complexities of her life head-on. Would Tom be willing to adapt, or would this request push them further apart? That uncertainty clawed at her, but Claire knew that the quest for understanding was well worth the risk. It was time to reclaim their future through the stories of their past before another gift brought them even further apart. As she called for Josh, Claire understood they had to navigate this path together. The future was teetering on the edge of a precipice, and her next words would be crucial. Would they step back together, or tumble into the unknown? Claire summoned Josh with a sense of urgency, her heart racing as her mind formulated the best approach. As he entered the room, she framed her thoughts, battling a whirlwind of emotions. Could she articulate the tangled web of love, frustration, and fear that encompassed their family dynamics? Would he even understand the gravity of the changes she envisioned for their family? "Hey buddy, can we talk?" The casualness masked the gravity simmering beneath her words. Josh nodded, his eyes reflecting both curiosity and trepidation. They settled on the worn couch in the living room. Claire's heart thudded in her chest. This was more than just a conversation. It felt like stepping onto a tightrope, balancing the past with their uncertain future. "I found something in the attic," she began, clutching the tangible remnants of their family's history still echoing in her mind. "What's that?" Josh tilted his head, keenly interested, drawing closer as she pulled out one of the letters. "It's from my parents, long before I was born. It talks about how they built our family on love and hard work, things that might feel outdated these days with everything Tom has brought to us." There was a plea in her tone for connection, a shared reflection of legacy and struggle. Josh listened intently, and Claire watched as the defenses she had come to expect began to soften in his demeanor. "You mean like all those times we used to bake cookies instead of just ordering takeout?" His eyebrows furrowed as if tracing the connections she desperately sought to ignite. "Exactly," Claire responded, encouraged. "Those moments were precious. They gave us something deeper than just a full fridge or shiny toys. Tom means well, but sometimes it feels like we're losing the roots of who we are." Josh's gaze fell momentarily, as he absorbed the weight of her words. Claire continued, attempting to bridge their experiences, sharing her own stumbles and losses along the way. "I want us to honor that past together. I need you on this journey with me." "Like a family gathering?" he ventured, his youthful voice channeling an unexpected maturity. "A gathering that celebrates our history, our values," Claire affirmed, relieved to see the idea connect with him. "In a way, maybe it could help Tom understand what made us feel whole before all of this." Josh nodded slowly, contemplating. "But what if he doesn't get it, Mom? What if he just thinks it's all ridiculous?" Claire felt a jolt of anxiety at the thought. The fear of rejection crept in, a familiar adversary skipping through her thoughts. They had to tread carefully, weaving Tom into this tapestry of understanding without tearing it apart. That's the risk, Josh. We have to be brave. We can't let fear define our family. His expression shifted to contemplation, wrestling with her heavier implications. Yet, short-lived moments of silence prompted Claire to press on. Josh, I need your help. I want you to share your thoughts, your feelings during the gathering. They matter. They could help Tom see how we need to grow as a family. Okay, Josh finally responded, an edge of resolve whispering in his voice. Yet Claire sensed hesitancy still cloaked his heart. But as if a veil had lifted, Claire felt there was still much to uncover. Perhaps the gathering wasn't purely about bridging gaps, but igniting small flames of authenticity. What if we made a list of stories to share? She proposed, an idea lighting her passion further. Their discussion flowed as they brainstormed, creating a tapestry of memories that bridged the past and present. With every idea, Claire sensed her own heart knitting back together, her confidence building with Josh's involvement. They were choosing authenticity over silence, courage over conformity. But as the conversation swelled with excitement, a daunting thought creeped back in the looming conversation with Tom. Burdened with the weight of her own fears. Would he even listen? Would he be willing to change, or would this unravel the threads they had knitted together? The uncertainty clawed at her, a heavy curtain that threatened to fall on their blossoming hope. Would this journey lead them closer? Or was it a chasm that would widen with just one misstep? The thought brewed a knot in her stomach as their brainstorming continued, leaving Claire wondering whether this attempt at healing would illuminate their path, or thrust them further into darkness. She could feel the precipice forming beneath their feet, teetering dangerously as they ventured deeper into this uncharted territory. Would facing Tom's reality be the catalyst they needed, or merely a detour on a road marred with confusion? Claire woke the next morning to the persistent chirping of birds outside, a sound she once found comforting but today felt suffocating. She pushed herself from the warm embrace of her bed, her mind swirling with the remnants of last night's conversation. The idea of the gathering danced in her thoughts, mingling with an unsettling sense of dread as the reality of involving Tom sank in deeper. She brewed a cup of coffee and sat at the kitchen table, the sunlight filtering through the window, casting gentle shadows. She had envisioned this day differently, perhaps a moment of clarity, where ideas flowed freely and anxieties diminished. Instead, they threatened to consume her. As she watched steam rise from her mug, Claire contemplated how to communicate her vision effectively to Tom without provoking his instinctive defensiveness. They had long since diverged from the open dialogue that once characterized their relationship. How had their connection frayed into this tapestry of misunderstanding? Her mind drifted back to the letter from the attic, a reminder of resilience woven into her family history. Unbeknownst to her, it also illuminated how precariously anchored they were to it. Could this gathering reignite the flames of understanding, or would it fan the fires of discord? Before she could spiral further, the morning routine beckoned. She prepared breakfast, the smell of bacon sizzling grounding her in the present. As Josh ambled into the kitchen, ruffling his hair, Claire felt a surge of renewed determination. She needed his support. It was his future, too, after all. "Morning, Mom," Josh said, his voice still laced with sleep. He leaned against the counter as if seeking stability. "About that gathering, are we really going to do this?" Claire turned to him, masking her apprehension with a smile. "Yes, we are. I was thinking we could start drafting that list of stories today. Maybe even some things we hope to achieve from it?" Josh nodded, but hesitated, clearly caught in the tension of uncertainty. What if it goes wrong? What if Dad doesn't want to play along? His questions pierced through Claire's carefully crafted facade. "That's a risk we have to take, Josh," she replied, feeling the weight of every word. "But think about what it could mean for our family. This might help us reconnect in a way we haven't been able to for a long time." The room was thick with unspoken fears, Claire's urge to protect her family waging war against the necessity of facing painful truths. She watched Josh's fingers absent-mindedly trace a pattern on the table, revealing a familiar emotional battle within her son. "There's more at stake than just our thoughts," she continued, choosing her words with tactical precision. It's about re-establishing who we are. Not just with Tom but as a family unit. We owe it to ourselves. The determination in her voice sparked a glimmer of resolve in Josh's eyes. She could see the walls he'd erected begin to crack, allowing glimpses of the boy she knew. All right, let us do it, he said, finally grasping the potential of their endeavor. As they brainstormed their list of stories, those rich with joy, nostalgia, but also heartbreak, Claire felt herself surrendering fragments of fear for newfound courage. It was exhilarating, yet the enormity of her approach sent ripples of doubt through her. Even as they laughed and reminisced, she couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenge lay ahead, articulating her feelings to Tom without shattering the already fragile harmony of their home. What if he resisted their honesty? What if his refusal to engage sent their family spiraling further into isolation? The thought knotted in her stomach, but as the hours unfolded, she built up her resolve. This wasn't merely about sharing stories. It was about reframing their narrative, transforming disconnection into possibility. Later that evening, Claire found herself pacing the living room, the sun dipping low in the sky. Tom would be home any minute now, and she felt the tightness in her chest returning. Would he embrace this idea or dismiss it as just another passing whim? She heard the crunch of gravel under his car tires and stopped mid-stride, heart hammering in her chest. This was it, time to confront the tumult that lay beneath their everyday verbiage. As he walked through the door and flashed a sleepy smile, Claire knew the moment of truth had arrived. Would he hear her? Or would this be the final straw that broke their family's fragile unity? Her pulse quickened, each heartbeat a reminder of the potential upheaval lurking just beneath the surface. She took a deep breath, grounding herself. It was time. She had to initiate the conversation and reveal what lay ahead. Would this gathering bring healing or chaos? The answer awaited just a conversation away. The moment Tom stepped through the door, Claire felt the air shift. He had that familiar weariness in his eyes, a lingering sign of the day's demands. For a fleeting moment, she hesitated. Perhaps the reality of this confrontation wasn't just about the gathering. Maybe it was about stripping away the layers that had accumulated between them over the years, the assumptions, the avoidance, the tiny resentments that had settled like dust. "Hey Claire," Tom greeted, his voice warm yet laced with fatigue. He dropped his bag near the staircase, casting a casual glance around the living room. "What's for dinner?" "Actually, I wanted to talk to you about something important," she replied, shifting the weight of her body to face him fully. The intensity of her gaze caught him off guard. "It's about the gathering we discussed." Tom's expression tightened. He rubbed the back of his neck, as if the mere mention sent an electric shot of discomfort through him. "I thought we were dropping that." Claire felt an unexpected surge of urgency. "No," she said firmly but softly. "I know it's not easy to face, but I really believe it could help us reconnect. We haven't talked about our feelings in so long. We can't keep avoiding the truths that need to be addressed." He shifted, folding his arms defensively. "Reconnecting, huh? Does that really mean dredging up the past? It sounds like more trouble than it's worth." Her heart raced. This wasn't a trivial debate. This was the essence of their estrangement. "Tom, avoiding it isn't working either. We're living in this constant state of unrest. What if we could share our stories? Our hopes, fears, the things we avoid every day?" Tom's face fell into a contemplative silence. Claire could see the flicker of an inner conflict battling within him. He wanted to retreat, to deny the growing rift between them. Yet something in his expression hinted at a deeper yearning for connection. "What if I don't want to unearth those feelings? What if it just leads to more pain?" He challenged, but Claire sensed something else lingered beneath his bravado and acknowledgement of potential vulnerability. "That's a risk we all must face," Claire insisted, her voice steadier than she felt. "Staying silent isn't helping anyone. We can't just patch things up on the surface anymore. Honesty is the first step toward healing." A lengthy pause enveloped them. Claire could see the gears turning in Tom's mind, wrestling with her plea. Would he finally allow a crack in his armor? Or would he pull further away? "Josh seems invested in this too," Tom said finally, as if testing the waters. "Does he really think it will help?" Claire nodded, feeling a surge of hope. "Yes, I believe so. He's ready to share his voice. We shouldn't leave him out of this process." It affects him just as much as it affects us. Tom's brow furrowed slightly, and Claire recognized the unspoken doubt that plagued him. Was he afraid to open floodgates that would unleash long-buried resentment? She had no doubts. After years of emphasizing what went wrong, now was the critical moment to shift that narrative. I can't pretend like everything is fine, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. What if this doesn't go the way we hope? This was at the pivotal moment Claire had so desperately sought. Then we face it together, she said, her conviction unwavering. What if we discover something unexpected? A chance to grow beyond our missteps, to find strength in our flaws? Tom hesitated, a storm of emotions playing out behind his eyes. It's terrifying, Claire. What if we're not strong enough? But what if we are? Claire countered, her heart pounding with renewed determination. What if confronting our truths allows us to emerge stronger? Imagine the possibilities if we can finally speak openly. You deserve that, Tom. We all do. As silence filled the room, the weight of her words hung in the air like a tenuous edge between their past and an undetermined future. Claire watched Tom's expression shift from skepticism to contemplation. She saw the battle playing out. Part of him wanted to keep the peace, yet perhaps a smaller part craved something deeper, something real. With a deep yet hesitant sigh, Tom finally nodded, a subtle yet profound acceptance creeping into his demeanor. All right. I'll give it a chance, he said, the tension easing ever so slightly. Claire let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding, but doubt still lingered. Would he really be willing to dive into the depths of their unresolved issues? Or was this a momentary surrender? She felt the urgency pulse through her veins once more. They were standing at the threshold of something transformative, but uncertain. It was merely the beginning, but would it catalyze healing, or expose wounds better left uncovered? Claire knew the delicate art of vulnerability awaited them. But before she could ponder the ramifications, a phone notification chimed, pulling her back to reality. It was a message from Josh, a simple question that felt heavily loaded. Are you two okay? In that instant, the stakes intensified. Claire realized they couldn't just impact their household. This was about setting an example for Josh too. Would their confrontation become a lesson in connection and authenticity? Or would it entrench him deeper in the shadows of their discord? The foundation of their future, and that of Josh's, hung precariously in the balance. Claire had initiated the dialogue. Now it was time to see how far they could push their limits. Would they choose honesty? Or would they revert into the comfort of silence? Claire paced the kitchen, her mind churning with the enormity of the conversation ahead. Tom's reluctant agreement was a start. But she knew that the hard part lay ahead, like an uncharted territory filled with potential pitfalls. She glanced at her phone, seeing Josh's name flash across the screen again. Are you two okay? It echoed in her mind. A reminder that their tiny family unit was a fragile ecosystem. Standing there, she felt the weight of responsibility. Not only was she navigating her own feelings, but she was also tasked with assuring her son that love could withstand the tides of uncertainty. The path to honesty wasn't just about clearing the air with Tom. It was a lesson she desperately wanted to impart to Josh. After pouring herself a glass of water, she leaned against the counter, reflecting on how they had ended up in this place. It was easy to point fingers. Life had thrown them curveballs, forced them into roles they had never imagined. Had they allowed routine to settle in too comfortably, creating a facade of normalcy? Maybe we're just scared, she murmured to herself, realizing that overcoming fear was integral to her growth. This was her opportunity not just to reshape her relationship with Tom, but to emerge as a stronger individual. If she could do this, she could teach Josh about authenticity. With newfound determination, she pulled out her phone and texted Josh back, "We're working on it. We love you." It was a small step, but setting that supportive tone felt significant. She noticed a subtle shift occurring within her. The act of reaching out made her feel more empowered, as if she were reclaiming parts of herself she thought had been buried beneath years of avoidance. The sound of Tom's footsteps approached, breaking her reverie, and she turned to see him leaning against the wall, arms crossed. His expression was thoughtful, as if he were wrestling with something monumental. "What are you thinking?" he asked, his voice neutral but tinged with genuine curiosity. I'm thinking about how important it is for Josh to see us being honest with each other, Claire replied, the weight of her purpose lifting her voice. We can't hide this from him. If we're going to do this, we should go all in. Tom's brow furrowed, and she could almost see the gears spinning. You think it'll help him? I do. But first, we have to be honest with ourselves. That's where it all begins. We can't pretend indefinitely, Claire stated, her voice gaining momentum as she embraced this concept. He deserves to see us face our problems. It teaches him that no relationship is perfect, and that it's okay to express feelings. Tom nodded slowly, and Claire felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps they could model a pathway to healthy communication, to navigating discomfort with openness. What if, through this process, they unearthed not only their buried issues but also new strengths, unearthing a fresh sense of partnership? Let us promise to listen to each other, she suggested, locking eyes with him. We can stumble through this together, but no avoiding, no deflecting. We're in this as a team. Tom swallowed hard, the vulnerability of that commitment evident on his face. All right, he agreed, though hesitation still lingered in his tone. As they stood there, poised on the edge of this precipice, Claire caught a glimpse of what lay ahead. It would take not only courage but also faith that the process might lead to rebuilding the very foundation their family was built upon. Yet, the nagging doubts still preyed on her mind like a whisper. What if their revelations pushed them further apart? Suddenly, Josh's voice echoed from the living room, breaking the tension. Can I come in? Claire and Tom exchanged glances, a mixture of apprehension and resolution swirling within them. How could they explain what they were getting into? What would Josh think of their decision? Without waiting for an answer, Josh walked into the kitchen, eyes searching their faces for signs of distress. Claire could sense an opportunity unfolding. Perhaps this moment would be pivotal, not just for them but for him as well. Here they stood, on the brink of vulnerability, hoping to provide him with not just answers but guidance as well. As the silence thickened, Claire's heart raced. What words would she choose to express the complexity of their journey? Little did they know, Josh's unexpected question would soon send their plans spiraling, testing their newfound resolve in ways they hadn't anticipated. Would their foundation shatter or strengthen under the pressure of emerging truths? Josh stood at the threshold, his youthful innocence wrapped in a cloak of concern. Claire took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment compress the air around her. She had imagined this confrontation vividly, but she hadn't anticipated how it would feel so real, so immediate. The seconds stretched, the silence forming a chasm between her intentions and what they would ultimately reveal. Can we talk? Josh asked, shifting uneasily from one foot to the other. Claire gave Tom a quick glance, a silent agreement passing between them. Of course, honey. What's on your mind? She replied, striving to maintain a calmness she didn't quite feel. I heard you two talking. You seem serious. His eyes darted between them, an unspoken question lingering just beneath the surface. Claire's mind raced. How to encapsulate this complicated terrain without overwhelming him. We were just discussing how important it is to be honest with each other, Josh. Things have been a bit tricky between us adults, and we thought you should know. Josh's brow furrowed, a wave of confusion washing over him. Tricky how? Is it about Dad's job? Because I thought things were okay. No, sweetheart. Not that, Claire interrupted gently. It's more about our feelings for each other and for you. Changes are happening, and we want you to understand. Claire saw her son's shoulders tense. He was processing information rapidly now. Children often sense the pressure of adult emotions, even when shrouded in mystery. Would he feel the weight of their struggles prick his own innocence? But why can't you just work it out? Josh's voice was small, almost pleading. You love each other, right? The question struck Claire like a physical object, jarring and stark. We do, she affirmed, her heart aching with the weight of her own inadequacies. But love isn't just a feeling. It takes work and honesty. We're trying to navigate this, but it sounds like you're breaking up, he interjected, the softness of his tone vanishing. Josh, it's not that simple, Tom said, stepping into the conversation, trying to bridge the gap. We want to talk about everything because it's important for us to be a family. We need you to know we both care about you more than anything. His young face scrunched in thought. a flash of anger battling against the fear beginning to grow in his chest. So why are you talking about all this stuff? Just fix it. Why can't people just be happy? Claire felt a deep pang of guilt. Kids had an innate ability to cut through the layers of adult complexity, targeting the core of the matter with painful precision. Because we want to show you that even when things are hard, being honest is part of love. It's not always easy, but it's the right thing to do. Josh crossed his arms, frustration bubbling to the surface. But you shouldn't be talking about this stuff in front of me if it's going to make me worry. You're supposed to be the grown-ups. The damning honesty of his words hung in the air, twisting in Claire's gut. Their son saw their struggle as a profound weakness, a faltering that threatened the stability they had carefully constructed for him. Tom ran a hand through his hair, his earlier resolve flickering like a candle caught in a gust of wind. We may not have all the answers yet, but we're committed to working on this together? Josh echoed, skepticism dripping from every syllable. But it doesn't feel like you're together. It feels like you're breaking apart. At that moment, Claire realized the significance of this crossroad. Here was a chance to demonstrate the very authenticity she praised. Was she ready to face the truths she had been avoiding? A determined glimmer sparked within her. Maybe you're right. Maybe it does feel that way right now, but it doesn't have to define us. Sometimes growth comes from the deepest struggles. As she spoke, a realization crystallized within her. She was initiating a new era, not only in her relationship with Tom, but also as a mother who exemplified resilience. In that instant, she envisioned a future where her vulnerability would not diminish their family unit, but rather expand it, creating a place where honesty flourished. Josh looked at her, his suspicion softening into something akin to curiosity. So what do we do now? Claire felt her heart race anew. Now, we keep talking. Together, we'll figure out how to navigate these waters. With you as part of the process, we can reshape our family, she added, her voice steadying. But even amidst this moment of unity, the uncertainty clung to the edges, a reminder of the deeper issues still festering beneath the surface. What lay ahead threatened to reveal more than just feelings. It was a test of their values, expectations, and perhaps the latent truths hidden within their own hearts. As her son looked to Tom, seeking answers, Claire braced herself for the next round of conversations, aware that this was merely the beginning of a long and arduous journey. Would they emerge stronger with clearer insights? Or would the raw truths rip them apart even more? She felt a flicker of doubt. Was she prepared for the fallout of genuine transparency? Can we change the way we talk about our family? Josh asked suddenly, interrupting Claire's internal dialogue, his youthful innocence still clinging tenaciously to hope. Change can happen. But it will take work, Claire whispered, her breath catching in her throat. Would they be able to embrace the complexity of their evolving family dynamics? Or were they merely delaying the inevitable? The air was thick with tension, and as the conversation began to shift, Claire understood one thing clearly. With each revelation, the risk of exposure grew. The vulnerability was both terrifying and exhilarating, an essential prerequisite on the path toward true growth. She braced herself for the challenges that lay ahead. Claire took a moment to steady her breath, aware that each word that came next felt like a delicate thread weaving through the fabric of their family's reality. Josh's inquiry lingered in the air, almost tangibly, as though he was holding the moment hostage. What new perspective could they offer him? And more importantly, what new truths might surface? Let us talk about how we can do that, Josh, she suggested, drawing from an internal well of determination. What do you think would help? Josh's youthful honesty prompted a crease of thought between his brows. I don't know, maybe if you both just said what you felt without all the adult stuff. His voice faltered slightly, the tremor betraying his desire for clarity amidst the confusion. The simplicity of his request struck Claire. Perhaps they had overcomplicated their struggles. Critically, she reflected on her own capacity to communicate effectively, not just in abstract terms, but in genuine, straightforward ways. Okay, Tom jumped in, eager to grasp this lifeline, the seriousness of the moment awakening his resolve. I think I can start. Josh, I love you more than anything. But sometimes grown-ups face challenges that, honestly, I'm not always sure how to deal with. It's not that I don't love your mom or you. It's just complicated. Claire marveled at how Tom had minimalist precision in his delivery, yet she wrestled internally with her feelings about their circumstances. Should she have gone deeper? Would detailing her struggles only complicate things further? What about for you, Josh? What do you love most about our family? The questioning seemed to act as a pressure valve, releasing some of the pent-up emotions that had been lingering. Josh shifted, his mind churning through simpler childhood memories. I love going to the lake with you and playing board games on rainy days. Claire felt the walls around her heart begin to soften. Those were genuine moments. Echoes of intimacy, memories that had knitted the strands of their family together. What was she truly afraid of? Losing their family unit, or losing the idyllic vision she held onto? And we can continue to create memories like those, right? She ventured. Different maybe, but still together? Yes, Josh exclaimed with brightening resolve, the fear within him seeming to recede a little. Just no more serious talks, please. With a chuckle, Tom nodded, though both adults recognized that serious conversations would be unavoidable. This was just the prelude to a deeper engagement. Still, Claire appreciated the moment of levity. It nourished her spirit, reminding her of the joyful moments that mattered most. As the discussion meandered back to safer territories, their recent trip to the beach, Claire felt a stinging realization wash over her. It wasn't merely about the need for honesty with Josh. She recognized a necessity for honesty within herself, too. Her aspirations as a mother, partner, and individual had become intertwined with expectations that had not been fully scrutinized. Yes, change was on the horizon, one that would reshape their family's dynamics, but it demanded more than mere acknowledgement. Could she truly embrace the discomfort without falling back into the comfort of denial? In the weeks that followed, Claire found herself contemplating these questions with increasing urgency. Each day felt like a stepping stone into uncharted territory, offering fleeting glimpses of clarity. Conversations with Tom became safer yet more profound, revealing streaks of vulnerability she hadn't seen before. But amid those interactions, Claire also began to uncover an unsettling truth about her own silence, the reluctance to voice her fears and disappointment. She had hidden behind her roles, wearing them like armor, neglecting to see that in order to foster the healing she craved, she must first confront her own deeply buried emotions. One evening, pensive and reflective, she watched her husband play a board game with Josh, both of them animated by the spirit of the competition, laughter spilling into the air. It struck her then, a revelation coursing like electricity through her entire being. In Tom's zest for play, she saw the potential for healing. Determined, she resolved to initiate another conversation, this time framed not just around confronting challenges, but fostering a space for mutual expression. Could they allow old vulnerabilities to morph into newfound strengths? With a flicker of courage igniting within, she approached Tom later that evening. Can we talk about what's going on with us? She ventured, her heart drumming furiously against her ribs. I want to explore the deeper stuff. As Tom's face shifted, brow furrowing as if weighing the consequences of indulgence in such a profound moment, Claire took a deep breath, feeling both trepidation and anticipation intertwine. Her conviction surged. The conversation she was about to initiate would encapsulate the very essence of honesty she hoped to ingrain in their family life. But as she squared her shoulders, readying for the plunge into difficult territory, Claire recognized a looming question hanging in the air. Would Tom be ready to meet her there? Or would he shy away from the depths she longed to traverse? Awaiting Tom's response, she held her breath. This dance around vulnerability was only beginning, the true challenge still looming on the horizon. Tom shifted uncomfortably on the couch, his hands fidgeting, betraying a subtle anxiety that surfaced in his posture. Claire noted the way he glanced at their son before meeting her gaze, a fleeting fear clouding his usually composed demeanor. This was at the moment that could shatter a fragile calm, or build a new foundation for their family's future. Okay, he said, finally settling back. Yet his voice was tentative, like he wasn't sure how to navigate this new course. What do you want to talk about? Claire's heart raced. I want us to discuss everything. The changes we're going through, how we're feeling. I think it's important, especially for Josh. This was no ordinary conversation. It was weighted with potential consequences. She recalled how their previous attempts had skimmed the surface, never delving deep enough to disrupt the unsettling currents underlying their family dynamic. Yeah, I get that, Tom replied. A moment of silence stretched between them, thick with unspoken realities. But he hesitated. Where do we even start? Claire leaned in, inching closer, her voice softer yet resolute. Let us start with us. How are we really doing? She watched his protective walls begin to crack, revealing pieces of vulnerability. Tom looked down, as if seeking an escape route before choosing to engage. Honestly, I'm overwhelmed. I thought we'd be fine. I want to believe that we can still be whole. His admission triggered an unsettling resonance within her. They had both masked their uncertainties under layers of routine and silence, propping each other up while ignoring the growing cracks beneath their foundation. I want that too, Claire uttered, her honesty catching her off guard. But what if being whole means addressing the things we've avoided? Tom seemed to mull over her words, his brows furrowing deeper as he fought against the tide of truth washing over them. Together, they grappled with the weight of their uncharted emotional territory. The tension in the air pulsed with the potential for revelation. Yet uncertainty about how far to tread remained potent. I just don't want to make anything worse for Josh, he finally admitted, the pain lacing his voice starkly evident. Kids don't need to be involved in adult problems, Claire. In that moment, Claire realized the shared fear paralyzing their efforts, the belief that honesty might unleash chaos instead of harmony. It made sense, yet it felt like an excuse. She recognized a burgeoning conviction within her that whispered of the potential gains outweighing the risks. Maybe it's time we show him that navigating life isn't about everything being perfect, she countered, passion igniting her tone. Maybe we should let him see that it's okay to express feelings, to face challenges. Tom's expression unmistakably softened, interrupted only by a fleeting glance at Josh, still blissfully unaware in his game. The idea took root, blooming slowly like a neglected flower finally reaching for the sun. Okay, he said, each word drawing out with measured thought. But what if? What if he doesn't process it the way we expect? That question hung heavily, swirling with the danger of the unknown. Part of Claire recoiled at the uncertainty, but another larger part pressed forward, motivated by a hunger for authenticity. This isn't about getting it perfect, she said firmly, leaning in, their shared resolve weaving a bond beyond fear. It's about modeling something real for our son, letting him know he has a space to share. Tom nodded slowly, the weight of possibility evident in his gaze. Okay, but let us promise to keep each other in check. I don't want either of us to overstep. We need to support each other through this. Relief crashed over Claire like a wave, washing away the doubts. Absolutely. As they settled into an understanding, Claire recognized a shift, not only within their dialogue but within herself. She had entered this conversation with trepidation, but she was emerging with a burgeoning sense of clarity. In those moments of honesty, layered with budding trust, Claire suddenly envisioned the next steps ahead, not just in personal communication, but in reshaping the way they presented their family unit to Josh. However, a lingering fear gnawed at the edges of her resolve. Would their attempt at genuine connection spark an unexpected fallout? As she gazed at Tom, she felt a swell of determination, but also uncertainty about the path they had just chosen. They were diving into a new depth, but the currents could swiftly change direction. The question crystallized within her mind. How would their son respond to the unveiling of his parents' vulnerabilities? Amidst the rising excitement shadowed by anxiety, Claire realized they were about to face their greatest challenge, yet encouraging Josh to explore and accept his emotions, and in doing so, exposing their own raw realities. Would they emerge stronger or splinter under the weight of truth? The answer loomed ahead, just out of reach, but necessary to uncover. As the days unfolded, Claire and Tom embraced their new commitment to honesty, each conversation deepening their connection. What started as a tentative exploration of their feelings blossomed into collaborative discussions that reconstructed their understanding of family. Claire felt invigorated. Searching the depths of her heart during these talks brought her to a place of unyielding authenticity. One evening, feeling bold, Claire decided to bring Josh into the fold. They sat together on the couch, Tom on one side, Claire on the other, bridging their son with a comforting sense of unity. As she prepared to open the dialogue, A gentle weight settled in her chest. This would not only steer their family toward healing, but would also introduce Josh to the complexities of adult relationships. "Hey, buddy, can we talk for a minute about something?" she began, her voice steady yet inviting. Josh's eyes focused, a mixture of curiosity and wariness swirling on his face. "About what?" he inquired, fidgeting nervously. Claire exchanged a glance with Tom, a silent assurance that they were in this together. "About us. As a family. About how it's okay to talk about feelings, especially when things get tough." Josh squirmed, skepticism shadowing his expression. "But do we have to?" "Sometimes the tough conversations help us understand each other better," Claire offered, her words carefully chosen. "We want you to know it's totally okay to share your thoughts," Tom added. "We're all learning how to communicate better. It helps connect us, even when we feel overwhelmed." Claire watched as Josh processed their words, his youth casting a radiant light on complex emotions. "Like when you guys had that serious talk?" he asked, a shimmer of understanding beginning to glimmer in his tone. "Exactly," Claire replied, a flicker of relief washing over her. "And we want to show you that it's okay to share your frustrations or fears, just like we do. That's how we grow together." The tension in the room ebbed, creating space for openness. "Okay, but it's still kind of weird, right?" Josh replied, a mixture of hesitation and curiosity coloring his voice. "That's perfectly normal. It can feel weird to confront challenges, but thinking about them together makes us stronger," Tom inputted, his eyes steady and reassuring. In that moment, Claire felt a swell of warmth and unity envelop them, a tangible sign of progress forming in their family dynamic. They had stepped into an arena where vulnerability flourished and love thrived. But still, doubt lingered. Did they truly have the strength to confront what lay ahead? Taking a leap, Claire shared a story from her past, a momentary setback that had once felt insurmountable. As she painted a picture of how struggle had beautifully interwoven with resilience, she looked at Josh, gauging his response. "See, Josh?" she concluded, heartened by the connection that surged between them. "Through embracing my challenges, I learned the importance of vulnerability and the power of expressing how I felt." Josh's brow furrowed. "So you're telling me it's okay to be upset sometimes?" "Absolutely," Tom confirmed. "It's not just okay, it's important. Your feelings matter. They help us understand how to support one another." For the first time, Claire noticed a definitive shift in Josh's expression, a mix of surprise and reflection playing across his young face. "Okay," he said slowly. "I think I get it. I could be honest about what I'm feeling too." A spark of pride ignited within Claire as she recognized the key growth emerging before her. Josh was beginning to embrace the complexities of their family dynamic with newfound strength. Days turned into weeks, and those small conversations began to lay a foundation of understanding. Claire recalled the moments when Tom and she had struggled to communicate. Now each exchange with Josh became an opportunity for sharing, for connection, healing the lingering wounds they had all carried for too long. One evening, after an animated family game night filled with laughter, Claire noticed Josh clutching a piece of paper. As he approached her, "Mom, I wrote down some of my thoughts. I thought maybe I could share them." Her heart swelled, seeing her son take initiative to express himself. "I would love that, Josh. Let us hear it." As he read from his notes, Claire felt a rush of overwhelming pride. Clear, articulate, and genuine, he spoke from the depths of his heart, sharing his fears, his hopes, and his desire for the family to continue growing closer. Each word resonated with Claire, reinforcing their collective journey. "You know, this is what we've wanted all along," she said softly, feeling the warmth of connection suffusing the air like a blanket. "To lift each other up and understand together." Josh looked at her, a grin creeping across his face. "You mean, I'm allowed to keep talking?" "Always," Tom chimed in, sharing a glance with Claire. "The more we talk, the stronger we become. That includes parents too." With emotional precision, Claire realized they had crossed a pivotal threshold, one that transformed uncertainty into solid confidence. Together, they had laid bare their fears and achieved acceptance, the powerful foundation they needed to nurture the family they envisioned. As Josh's laughter filled the home, she felt renewed. The commitments forged in vulnerability and honesty had not only reignited their family bond, but showcased the power of empathy and authentic exchange. It was then that Claire recognized true achievement not in external recognition, but in the profound fulfillment that arose from within. She had conquered her fears, enhanced communication, and redefined what it meant to be a family built on mutual understanding. A firm belief echoed in her heart. They were forging ahead with competence and solid confidence, embracing a future without fear. But amid this newfound strength, Claire held on to a vital truth: this journey was far from complete. With each step they took, she felt empowered to continue nurturing a space for honesty, resilience, and love. It would be a living testament to the invaluable lessons they'd learned together. In that moment of clarity, Claire knew they were well on their way to establishing a legacy founded on genuine connection, blooming from the depths of vulnerability into the light of unconditional love. Don't wait even one more second to support our channel. You need to subscribe now to not miss any of the next exclusive emotional stories, showcasing the journey of personal growth and family connections. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, making a difference for those who resonate with our message. Comment your reactions and theories about this beautiful conclusion. And don't forget to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this impactful transformation. The time to demonstrate your support is now.